Strive on the Victor. Jinx, I feel like for Rare Adam makes a lot of sense here, and they can actually go for the Hecarim themselves if they really want, or go for that Xin Zhao that they had last game.
I think the thing is as well, like RNG, this Corki is comparably broken to Gwen, right? I would say it's as valuable as a pick. And ultimately, even though Strive had a massive CS lead and won the lane ultimately, Xiaohu had a much bigger impact on the game than Strive actually did individually. So I like the Corki first pick. Lian, though, going with this Xin Zhao once again. He's played it 6 times. They've won with it 5 out of those 6 times. This is the key pick for RA. And RNG just saying, look, aside from the Gwen, we like the way game is.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the Gwen was a massive factor in it, but even so, my concern is like the Corki will have value later on. That early pressure can bleed out onto the map and be so relevant for Rare Adam. So I know Xiaohu is going to become relevant later on, going to be powerful on this Corki, but I am just concerned that Strive had such a dominant performance. It means Lian can do what he wants essentially, because he knows he's going to have the backup of his mid laner. See the bans come out now for Rare Adam. I think Hecarim is probably going to get banned here, because obviously they did ban it first rotation last time. Jungler still not picked for RNG. For the side of RNG, you can really look towards top lane. You can also look for supports, right? Leona, we saw banned last time round. So we'll just see what they have and what they decide to go for.
Wait and see. I'm using my mind powers to try and look into the future here. I've got a sneaky suspicion Wei's going to go for some kind of duelist. Maybe something like a Trundle, where it's like, if Lian does come into the jungle, well, I'm just going to beat the crap out of you anyway, you know? I don't care about solo laners. I'll just 1v1 you. I could be totally wrong there, because that is very against the way that Wei usually plays the game. And I just feel like I've got a vibe, you know? I'm picking up a vibe. Now going to be banned away in the top side by RNG to answer that Hecarim ban. And Lee Sin taken off the board as well by RNG.
Yeah, there's still a Trundle, there's still Viego, there's still even Olaf, which we sometimes see picked in the Xin Zhao as something that can kind of match his dueling ability, even though obviously it doesn't scale exceptionally unless he gets ahead. But we'll see. RNG, you know, I feel like a support ban wouldn't go amiss here, but they could just keep throwing things towards the top lane. Obviously, Cube was a problem, but that Gwen off the table, and obviously Gnar has been taken away now. I think for Rare Adam, probably just going to pick up the support in this situation, unless there is some top laner that they really see as a standout they want to get their hands on. You know, Graves is still open and available, something that's pretty high priority and often blinded.
Don't blind Graves. We've seen it. Tryndamere is the answer. I don't want to see it. I never want to see it again. Please don't blind Graves. Yeah, the support as the lock-in. Yuyanja went with the Rakan in game number 1. I will be honest, didn't look that stellar in the laning phase. It really struggled against the Nautilus, but happy to go with that matchup again.
Yeah, I honestly would say it didn't even look that good in the team fights either. Felt like wasn't really able to have that much of an impact. Been a few flashes here and there, but not completely convinced. But he will go for it again. And now RNG have to blind their top laner and pick up the jungle. Viego is still open and available for Wei to take again. So if they really truly think the only issue was the Gwen, then yeah, this is just them running it back. Now, I don't think they'll pick the Jax blind in this situation. So Bin has quite a bit of flexibility in this situation. And it'll probably be the only pick that changes from that game 1, because for those who didn't watch it or haven't been keeping up, this is the exact same comp for RNG, but now they have the Camille instead of the Jax. So for Cube, you could just take the Graves here. You could take the Jax yourself, honestly.
Yeah. Jax going to be locked in for Cube. I feel like that was Bin trying to throw down the gauntlets and Cube there, hovering the Fiora for ages, then locking the Camille. I feel like that was Bin trying to goad Cube, like, come on, give me the skill matchup. You can have the counter. Give me the skill matchup. Doesn't happen in the end. We got Jax versus Camille, though. Still a very volatile top lane. It feels like we could have a similar game to game number 1 here, where a lot of the action is in that top lane start.
Yeah, so looking at game 1, right? In had the counter matchup then. So either the counter matchup is just doomed and Cube will lose this, or Cube is just built different and will win this as well. But obviously Jax really good into Camille. You can use your E to block that empowered auto. Scales well into the side lane against it. I will say though, I think not having the Gwen, Rare Adam's team fighting does take a solid dip, and also the fact that Camille is better than Jax in team fights. So I feel like there's a bit more parity when it comes to that point, right? Before I was saying if it gets to the team fighting stage, I'm pretty confident for Rare Adam. I feel like it's a bit more even now, but still, Rare Adam, they're gonna have that early pressure in the mid lane. They're gonna have Lian able to really apply his impact on the map. And for RNG, it might just be a bit more weathering the storm, getting to that point where they can have the package available for team fights and rely on Xiaohu's poke damage to get them through difficult spots.
We go with game number 2 of Vici versus Vici. If you missed it in game number 1, RNG got relegated in 2015. They bought Vici's academy spot and got re-promoted into the LPL. The actual Vici Gaming then later rebranded into RA. We literally have the 2 old Vici squads up against each other today, just with different logos. It's going to be an exciting game number 2 here because RA came out swinging and completely surprised everybody. I don't think many people were... In fact, in chat, there were 40 people that expected an RA win because there were 40 people that bet their channel points on it. And you know what? They won 1 million channel points between those 40 people because 88% of the bettors were in favor of RNG, and I don't blame them. I would have been betting on RNG as well, but it's not the way it started off. RA are here to surprise. They're here to change the status quo. See if they can do it 2 games in a row.
You know, we saw a channel point millionaire made today. I'm just gonna say I've bet my channel points before and I always lose. I swear. I'm just all in every time and just completely flop. So yeah, I probably would have been one to lose my stockpile on RNG. But I digress. This is a new opportunity, new game. Again, I feel like now Ignite in favor of Bin, which is going to be decent summon in the 2v2, even though Jax can obviously hold his own. And the matchup does get better for Jax as the game goes on. But I think the team fighting isn't quite as solid for RA as it was. The Gwen not being there makes a big difference. And I'm kind of looking towards RNG's point of strength from the last game was this bot lane, right? That's where they really had the pressure.
Yeah, I mean, Ming, we said it during the game in game number 1. I'll say it again. Ming was destroying Yanja in the support matchup and keeps so far losing out the trades in that top lane as well. But it felt like there was a big gap between them. Just look at the items just quickly in that bottom lane. Gala knows that this is not the most action-packed lane. Goes for a cult to start. This time around, though, RA actually doing well in the 2v2. Finding a good knock-up onto Gala means a much stronger start in this bottom lane.
Yeah, so that was the difference. Last time round, Yanja actually missed the knock-up in the level 1. This time he connects it. Burns the Ignite to chunk out Gala. Now, honestly, I don't think this is too instrumental because Gala does have the red gun, right, which gives him a ton of sustain in the early laning phase. He will just be able to heal up, but it does mean there's a fair bit of pressure already in the early levels. They do get the shove, and iBoy is going to be able to hit Ming quite heavily because as Gala sustains up, they're not going to really be able to find an all-in.
Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, both of these lanes, unless they overextend, it's going to be tough to find a significant all-in early on. It's Jinx versus Aphelios. At the end of the day, you don't necessarily anticipate the most action-packed bottom lane. I'm anticipating more action towards that top side, but I'm also looking at this mid, right? Because in game number 1, Strive absolutely destroyed Xiaohu in the laning phase as Ming walks straight in for a 2v2 here and is not afraid of Flame Chompers either. Goes for a hook onto iBoy as Ming just chatting it up in the bottom side. He is loving this.
Yeah, has the Aftershock as well. We've seen a lot of Glacial Augment coming out. Oh, Bin will get away. Nice. We see a lot of Glacial Augment coming out from the Nautilus, but with the Aftershock, just so much more tanky, able to weather the storm. And Ming gonna stop the recall. Did this again last game. It feels like there's a lot of deja vu in this situation.
Yeah, Ming just finding opportunities there. Is he gonna commit to trying to stop this recall from Yanja? Yanja's gonna stop it himself. Doesn't have vision, but he might actually just get dived at this point. Wei gonna turn invisible, gonna look for the engagement, just forces the Grand Entrance away from the play. But now RNG, massive advantage in this bottom side. Not only a big CS lead, but also finding the opportunity to get a tower play for themselves very early on. Bin now trying to all in onto Cube on the top side here. But Lien moving over means that Bin has to back away. Flash actually from Lien here, and Bin's going to be the one in trouble instead. And Lien just easily picks him off.
Yeah, doesn't want to give him any room, doesn't want to let the hookshot cooldown come up again. But now RNG looking for a potential dive in the bot lane.
Wei knows that the top lane is going to be a disaster again, so he's just hard ganking bottom lane. He's like, I've got to find an advantage somewhere on the map as it's fallen foul for Bin in the top side once more, but at least RNG are getting some plates down in this bottom lane, finding some kind of advantage for themselves.
Yeah, 2 plates, and they're zoning them off so much farm in this situation. Now, The end will finally turn up. I think RNG, you can see them instantly getting the memo and backing away. They won't overstay in the situation. But look at that farm difference, by the way, in the bot lane. 20 CS lead already. And although the Cole has been picked up for iBoy, he's got a lot more work to do.
Oh,
what was the
my
hitbox?
days. How did that hit? Ming with a heat-seeking hook that goes through the minion wave. And Yuyanja takes yet another chunk as the wave will be finished off. And Gala and Ming, time for a reset. They've got 45 CS since they were last in the base. Halfway through a Cole, basically. So might be able to grab himself something like a Noon Quiver. In the meantime, though, Lian starting this Drake off for himself as he knows these resets are coming out from RNG, has the opportunity to get onto the Dragon.
Yeah, so should just be able to pick this one up. And obviously, we saw the value of the Dragon stacking in the last game when RA got that Mountain Soul, which was really effective against the Poke Poke. Won't be a Mountain Soul this game. Won't even be an Ocean Soul to mitigate the poke as well. But still, good to see them getting that and getting on the board, especially when you consider how much pressure RNG has had on the bot side. The fact that RA are the ones to get the first Dragon is quite a steal.
Yeah. And straight off of that reset as well, really nice tempo play from Lian, understanding that everyone from RNG is going to have to reset on that bottom side. That's a window to go for a play like that. It's now so good at soloing the objectives as well, as Finn takes a massive chunk of damage out from Cube. Luckily for him, this Camille, really good sustain up in that top side, so you can survive a few of those trades and still get away with it. But Cube having the wave at a pretty good spot. I'm not sure if it'll quite freeze, but you can certainly make sure that it pushes very slowly.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Cube's been doing fine. Obviously, he got that assist, but Bin has been holding up solidly in the matchup and has had some favorable trades earlier on. Like, he nearly did find the all-in onto Cube before if Lian hadn't been there. And definitely already a better start for the top lane of RNG. And there has been criticism on him, right, throughout this split, some inconsistencies. And it's kind of the fact that up against LNG, we get this massive performance, stand out, particularly in game 3 on the Gwen. And then last game was... you know, when we say hit or miss, last game was definitely a big miss.
It definitely was. And so far this game, right? He was actually winning the 1v1, but then overextends, gets caught by Lian.
Man,
and this is one of the biggest criticisms. I know. I thought top lane was an island. That's what Reddit told me. It's one of the big criticisms that was levied at Bin way back in, well, not way back, last year, honestly. When you think about the Suning that made it all the way to the finals, the big concern was, hey, Bin, he's really good. He wins top lane a lot, but sometimes he goes too far. A lot of the time he gets caught out. Similar style to the Shy a lot of the time, where he'll put himself at risk to try and win the 1v1. And Lian, happy to exploit that fact.
And now Lian has his ultimate available, and Wei does not. I remember we talk a lot about the Viego, right? The power spike you get at level 6, the ult, and the fact that you reset it every time you get a kill. So much power in those skirmishes. So I think Wei has to be a little bit cautious before he gets that available. For now, RNG still have the bot lane priority, and due to the fact that jungler's on side, it meant that they can just keep pushing up, keep applying that pressure. Already 500 gold lead between those 80 carries. There is a 500 gold lead in the top lane, though, in favor of Cube, and we do see a pretty substantial lead in the jungle and mid for RA. Overall, netting them pretty solid advantage.
What's done here by Wei to stop the recall from Strive? It's a small opportunity for Xiaohu to make something happen. He has the package, so perhaps can force this Rift Herald, especially if he could stop that recall. I don't think he'd be able to, though. Strive no TP, so that should be Herald secured now for RNG, as RA staying on that bottom side. You can see Gala moving back down towards that bottom lane. He knows that he's not going to be needed on that top side, with a nice little recall stop from Wei. Good play from RNG to maintain some semblance of control in this early game.
Yeah, and it feels like, you know, they picked the Corki up.
Oh, no.
Disaster. It feels like they picked the Corki up, and so when it does come to that first Herald, really easy for them to secure it. It's very hard for the enemy team to contest, and we saw that game 1. But the difference was, game 1, they were pretty substantially behind at this point, so definitely things fair and better. Now, with that Herald in pocket, they have options, right? You can throw it down mid, and we see that sometimes you take 2 plays with the first Herald, the second Herald, or any window where you have some pressure is enough to finish the tower off. Because honestly, if you're against the Victor, it is going to be difficult to find that mid lane tower because of how good his wave clear is. Alternatively, you can look towards the bot lane, right? 3 plates left. If you throw down the Herald, you'll probably just get the whole thing. You will get the whole thing, and there'll be a massive amount of gold regardless. I think this might just be the play. Get this Aphelios ahead.
Just need to get one more auto in there, or just be close enough for Gala to be able to get the gold from those plates, and he will be close enough there. So huge amount of gold going into the pocket of Gala. And Gala was the win condition last game as well. The difference between this game and last game, though, is last game there was a Gwen that was 4-0 that we could just run at Gala. This game, that doesn't exist. So much more opportunity for the Aphelios to actually exist in the game, and with that massive gold difference in the bottom lane now, 1.2 thousand gold in favor of Gala individually, you know that this is a much better position for RNG.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty close to finishing off his Gale Force. He has that Cole only 5 minions left before it finishes, so definitely a big power spike. Unfortunately, you won't have it now, and Dragon is up and spawning. I feel like if RNG can kind of delay this until they get the Gale Force, it would make a massive difference. And honestly, I feel like unless RA are able to push in now and get control, there's no real reason for RNG to start the Dragon. We'll see, though. They are walking over. I think maybe the reset from iBoy might be enough of a signal that they can go for this.
Wei is in position. They are spotted, obviously, by this Scuttle Crab, though. Ming just going to try and stop any vision from RA. You're right. They are going to delay for the time being. RNG not being willing to start that one off as the TP comes through from Xiaohu as well to join in this skirmish. RA the ones to start this Drake off. Xiaohu, no package to work with, but that's a nice gravitum onto Lien, who's taken massive damage from this Drake. A pull comes through onto the Rakan, who has the grand entrance away from the play, but Ming is going to go down as the first casualty of the fight, and Lien happy to tank up forever. Flash out from Xiaohu, and another fight for RA. They're just unstoppable in this series. 3-0, and Lien wants it to be 4. Double kill for iBoy. 2 Drakes off the bat. A 4-0 scoreline as RA are looking for an upset.
And honestly, RNG, you didn't need to fight that, right? They walked away, they didn't start it, and I was like, cool. You know, if RA push in, you can potentially poke them, but I feel like it's not a great fight for you to be taking in this situation. First off, Gala, he's just finished stacking his Cull. Only now has he actually been able to recall and get the Gale Force. That advantage in the bot lane wasn't there to come to fruition, but we look at how things played out, right? A lot of damage on Lien, but he pops his ultimate. No way you're finishing him off. The Nautilus goes down, and then watch Xiaohu. He actually dashes in to Cousin Guard to try and kill Zin's out. Not a position you want to be in. No resets come in for the Viego, and as a result, no chance to turn things around. And also, very nice from Lien. Stacks up the Q to get the knockup when he flashes over the wall. But either way, RNG completely botching that.
Yeah, RNG, and this is the second game in a row where it feels like not only are RA playing very well, but RNG are kind of the architects of their own demise, right? Like, this is not a situation that you needed to put yourself in. You've opted into that play, falling behind.
Something that I praised RNG for earlier in the split was knowing when to give up an objective and saying, we don't need to fight this, let's wait for a better window. You're a team with a Corki, right? Enemy team getting 2 dragons is irrelevant because you know when it gets to the 3rd dragon, 4th dragon, you will have package available for it, right? Early on, you sync the package with the Herald. Later on, you sync it with the dragon. You know that there's going to be a better scenario for you to fight later. You know that Gala had a Gale Force in base. If you could just get him to reset, that fight was unnecessary. 2 dragons is not that big of a deal for the enemy team to take. It's only when it gets to 3 and 4 it's scary, and they still opt in, right? I mean, look at Xiaohu's items. He has a Mirror Mana, which is nowhere near being stacked. Doesn't even have like a Hex Drinker, which obviously is a good defensive tool against the likes of Strive. It just feels like in so many ways, was it not a good fight for them? And they still opt in.
Yeah, bit of a blunder here for RNG, the team that we've so regularly praised as being this intelligent squad that knows and understands theirs and their opponent's composition. Feels like perhaps something is not quite working out within the team at the moment, because this does not feel like the RNG that we've been watching recently.
The one that beat LNG, right? Exactly. They literally just this week beat LNG, the undefeated team, and now struggling, facing down a potential 2-0 from RA. Now, it is early days in this game still, but definitely not a positive situation to be in, especially as, you know, enemy team has iBoy on this Jinx. We talked about the massive advantage Gala had in 80 carry matchup. He is still 1,000 gold ahead, but we can see that Cole is about to get finished stacking up for iBoy, and that Gale Force is already in pocket. So this Jinx is going to get a pretty big spike on that, and are going to lean towards that top lane, pick up the tower. Cube knows that there's going to be pressure on this side of the map in return, so he will just play this one a bit safe.
Yep, smart stuff coming out from Cube, who has been having a fantastic series for himself. Obviously, much more difficult matchup for him than what he had in game number 1. said. You know, in theory, he was in the losing side of the match and became #1, but that's not quite what we saw. But I will say, on the side of RA, I'm very impressed by the way these players have stepped up. Lian having a fantastic performance here today against Wei, having this in town both games, but managing to use it so effectively to find pressure in the early game. Both solo laners that have stepped up today, but also iBoy. He's a player that's known as, you know, when he plays well, he's exceptional. His mechanics are absolutely insane. He's an incredibly good team fighting AD carry, but a lot of the time, he'll find issues in the laning phase. A lot of the time, he'll end up getting caught out. We've not really been seeing that from iBoy so far in this series, and if he can maintain that consistency, he can start to sort of climb the power rankings as AD carries again, if we can see that be consistent.
Especially in the current meta with, you know, how valuable the AD carries are when it comes to team fighting, right? We've had metas where laning was really important and there was lots of fighting, but when it's like a scenario here where we have the Aphelios into the Jinx, definitely Gala and main clan advantages there, but this Jinx is still going to remain relevant. This Jinx is still going to be a force to be reckoned with, and that's where you can really step up and sharp. Now, they're going to just throw down the Herald mid. They are going straight for that tier 1 to open up the map. Now, I believe we have the package in Xiaohu's hands, and he's just picked it up, ready for this dragon to fight. So expect some action here and now. This is kind of the point I was talking about, right? Third dragon, you have the package synced up with it. This is RNG's chance to get back in the game.
So this time we agree with the decision by RNG to go for the play. They muscle their way into the river, and they will be able to just pick this dragon up, I think, because look where Cube is. He's still just pushing on that top side. He might be able to trade a tier 2 for this Drake bid, maybe. We'll have to TP up to that top side. The package being used, and the thing is, this is so often the case with the package. It's not even about using it. It's just about the threat of the package. Like, Xiaohu shows up with all of those rockets underneath his undercarriage, and he's like, okay, you guys, if you want to fight, we can fight, but I don't suggest it. And
yeah,
RA respect that.
It's kind of the play pattern where you fly in, you're really high movement speed, and they can't jump on you because obviously you become untargetable when you package. You just fire rockets at them, force your way in, and then if they try and force their way back and try and go to a choke point, the package is there. We've seen what happened, right? We saw in those highlights at the start of the day what happens when you funnel into a choke against Corki. Absolute disaster. So it does just make it pretty easy. And all things considered, if you look at Xiaohu's items, hasn't fully stacked that mirror mana, hasn't got that Ludens yet. It's not exactly like he was hitting a power spike at this point. Still kind of wait until that 2-item spike, which is pretty significant for the Corki. And yet still, RA have to respect it. Now they are trying to get some control off the jungle here. Wei won't phase check, but this just means that mid lane tower is going to go down.
Yeah, nicely done by RA, setting up pressure in that jungle, making sure that they can guarantee that towers. I'm not sure if Ming was going to be able to get that cannon then. The resets come through from RA. Bin just going to be able to shove one more wave a little bit deeper here and go for a reset himself. And I have to say, just on the topic of Corki and Package, I'm just starting to feel bad for Rumble at this point, because I feel like he's been replaced, you know? The Equalizer is the one thing that Rumble brings to the table. Corki has a whole kit and also Equalizer now. It feels like poor Rumble. Maybe you need a rework at this point.
What I will say is that, you know, talking about live patch, package timer has been nerfed to cooldown, and Rumble got a 5 armor buff, so it's gonna be a bit before we do hit that point. But we might end up seeing, instead of the package, we get the Equalizer back as an alternative. But obviously, still a whiles away yet. And for now,
we've got Jarvan in the meta too, which means there's the possibility of the spicy hot pot combo coming back into the meta, which is always good fun to watch, because it usually means that it's a team fight meta. Personally, they're always my favorites. But we'll have to see. 2.5 minutes till that next Drake. Baron coming onto the map in a minute and a half as well. I don't think either team really in a position where they can just try and brute force though. And I have to say, much slower pace of game in game number 2. Which does seem to be favoring RNG, honestly.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when a game goes slow and you're behind, those mistakes become less and less relevant as the time goes on. Problem was last game, the Gwen was kind of hitting critical mass and was just such an issue they couldn't deal with. And she was able to pick up structures across the board. But you see a lot of trading coming out, right? RA going to pick up this bot lane tier 1. In return, it can be Xiaohu is going to likely pick up that top lane tier 1, or at least get it low for the time being. It is still very much RA who are applying more pressure, and right now, they are trying to stack this wave up and have the rest of the team move down. Way in trouble.
Good knockup from you, Yanja, but no follow-up there. couple of tower shots occur anything further. Has been desperate to clear this wave away to protect the tower. Ming threatening an anchor here because Corki is up on the top side. Xiaohu trying to take a tier 1 in trade of this, but a tier 1 for a tier 2 is not an even trade. Gala, in the meantime, though, has moved to that mid lane. They're trying to find multiple angles here. Ming does not spot the teleporting Strive there, so won't be able to cancel that ability. It's just going to be a trade. A tier 1 for a tier 2. Not ideal for RNG.
Yeah, remember, Alright got the tier 1 as well, so it's 2 towers for 1. And the extra tier 2 in the side lane gives all that gold. So RA trading up in this situation. And that's the thing, right? The Corki is a big aspect of RNG's wave clear. So him being in the side lane means he's not able to clear waves there. And on top of that, he's not the fastest tower taker. You'd much rather have Corki bot and Camille in the top lane. And then you probably would have been able to defend that tier 2 by just killing the waves with the rockets. And also Bin would have got his job done a lot quicker. So maybe a little bit of a misallocation in terms of wave allocation for RNG.
50 seconds until the Drake here, Orcs. How are you feeling about Corki here? Is this a fightable Drake? Is this one that RNG should be going for? And if so, how do they make it happen?
I think they have to, right? But I think this is a big spike for the Corki. Manamune completed, Sork Shoes, Ludens, okay? You grab the package. RA currently have control. You layer down some poke, in particular if you get it on iBoy and Strive, and then the package just makes it so hard for RA to regain ground. You really do want to deny this dragon away from them and not let them get that third one.
Okay, well, Finn just finished Death Dance as well, so 2-item spike.
Oh, there you
iBoy just gets basically one shot, a combo of the Calibrum and the rocket from Xiaohu. And now, mid lane prio for RNG, but RA are just going to group up on the Drake itself. Xiaohu. He's threatening the package. He has the rockets available, needs to just get that damage onto Strive, onto iBoy. Both of them chunked already before the fight even began. Now Drake, started by RNG. Lien has done really well on the smite so far this series. Has been threatens the all-in, goes onto this front line, and they blow someone up immediately. Package across the team as iBoy forced away. Flashes out to safety, though, and keeps himself alive. Strive has fallen on the other side of the fight as Wei will go down for his trouble. Lien still going strong, so the smite advantage in favor of RA. RNG need a fight. They don't want to go for the 50-50 as Lien goes straight in, finds an opportunity, but the Infernum comes on through. Xiaohu finished the kill. Now Cube trying to escape the top side of the fight, and iBoy is nowhere to be seen. He's on the wrong side of the play. Now the Counter-Strike is Cube, gets himself a double stun, but iBoy isn't there. Trying to finish these kills. Gala 1 HP. But iBoy can't do it. Now Xiaohu back in towards the play. iBoy tanking the Cloud Drake. Cloud Drake does a lot of damage as well. As it almost resets, but they go for this one again. iBoy trying to get the zap. Can he go for the steal here? The Drake taken by RNG.
So down to the wire there. And honestly, RNG flubbed it a couple of moments, but managed to bring it together. Xiaohu and Gala on point there to be able to secure that dragon. Still down in goal by about 1,000, but they managed to find it. We will get that replay. So I love the decisive call, right? They've poked out iBoy and Strive a moderate amount, but they chunk Lien, and then they just go straight to Shakan. Deleted before he can do anything. They get a reset to Viego. Now, this is a critical moment. Xiaohu misses that final rocket. Otherwise, iBoy would have just died, and Wei could have got a reset. And that's why they're able to turn around. You see Wei get deleted here. Now it's a 3v3, but iBoy far too low to contest. And then here, Lien smites for the health, tries to flash for the Corki, can't find him. Turnaround comes in. We don't get any more of the replay because Baron's been started.
Yeah, RA want to make things happen. Apparently, they've started the Baron. It's down to half. It has been spotted, though, and Wei in the wings has his ultimate, has smite. Ming goes for the engage, but he hits the wall instead, and he's just blown for his trouble. Wei will be the next target, has to ult out of the fight. Ignited as Lien tries to chase this one. Can't go too deep. But RA can reset back onto this Baron once more. 8-4 on the kill scores. And Wei, no ultimate available, has to go for a reset. Now an opportunity for RA to try and grab themselves an objective. Xiaohu, only 2 rockets to work with. Onto Xiaohu, but no engage from Lien here. They're looking for the smite. They're looking for the Baron. Lien goes in to try and zone people away. Baron down to 2,000. The smite comes through from Lien. And now the fight from RA. They look for Bin. They'll find the knock-up and the kill as well. Yuyan just surviving. But Gala's found one. He's got some shurikens to work with for 1 HP. And Strive finishes the kill. Wei now being chased out. Xiaohu forced to flash over the wall as Cube re-enters the fray. And Wei finds some fancy footwork to get out to safety. But it does not matter because RA got the Baron.
very messy passage of play and the kills being traded. Oh, there's still more action potentially. Wei might have found Strive.
Xiaohu has the rockets. That's a big bit of damage. It doesn't matter. Wei, you can do nothing this game. Every time Wei makes a play, Strive one-shots it.
And I love this play from RA. The reason they force this Baron is because the problem is if they wait for Dragon, package will be up again every time. So instead, they take things into their own hands. They start off this Baron. Critically, Xiaohu for this whole fight barely has any rockets in hand, so isn't able to do much. He's kind of just floating around, waiting for cooldowns. Gala does try and step up, but Strive checks him right. You get closest, Victor, you will just get deleted. And then obviously we saw in the extended play, Strive again being able to deliver so much. And that's the thing, right? Corki with no ammo and Corki with no package is massively subdued, and that was prime time for Strive to be the difference for his team. This Victor that we've seen him do so much on in both game 1 and this game 2.
And I don't know what RA have fed their solo laners for breakfast this morning, but they are playing out of their minds today. Strive in this game, Cube in last game. It feels like these are MVP performances out of the 2 solo laners for RA. And RNG, this is not the same team that we've seen many times. Bin going for the Hextech ultimatum, but he's alone here. And Lien comes in from the side. Bin is gone already before the fight even really began. But again, Bin with these bizarre decisions that he's making across the course of the game. Now a massive opportunity for RA.
Yeah, it just means they can really slam down with this Baron and start hitting the base of RNG. Remember, RNG are top 5 right now on 7 wins, but they have an extra loss on the other 5 teams. If they lose this series as well, they will be in a really uncomfortable position. It'll be so easy for the other 4 to break away. And now RA looks for the fight.
Going for the dive onto Xiaohu. There's the knock-up from the Grand Entrance, and I think that might just be game, honestly, as Highboy can push forwards. Gale forces back to the rest of his team. Moonlight Vigil not going to connect from Gala. You got to feel bad for Gala and Ming in this game, honestly, because I feel like they've actually had a reasonable series, but it's just been impossible. The solo lane difference between RA and RNG is too much, but not in the direction that you'd expect me to say. RA have had an unbelievable series here, and they want to finish things off. 20 seconds still until Xiaohu will rejoin the fray. With the dive coming on through, knockups here. Yu Yanji gets out with his life. Lian tanking on the front line as the laser comes up through from Shive, but the Nexus will fall, and RA make the upset happen, and they kick RNG to the curb.
Not even just a win, a 2-0 where they felt like they were better throughout, right? RNG felt outclassed here, and this is one of our top 5 teams. 7 wins on the board. They just handed LNG their first loss, and RA dismantled them today.
I'm kind of speechless, honestly, Orcs. I can't believe the performance that RA have pulled out there, and